Hey guys, I'm here to read you a book. It's called Cumference and the Great Knight of Angleland. I did notice that it does have AR points, so you may could even take a test on it. More than anything, Radius wanted to be a knight. Every day he practiced riding, sword fighting, and archery. His teacher, the brave-souled Sir Degrees. One day, Radius's parents, Sir Cumference and Lady Di of Ameter, came to watch his lessons. "Show us what you've learned," they said. In the riding ring, Radius mounted his horse, and Sir Degrees gave directions. "Knightly right angle, trot!" shouted Sir Degrees. Radius rode his horse at a trot to the center of the ring and made an exact right angle turn. It formed a perfect corner. "Now double the right angle to make a straight angle," called out Sir Degrees. Radius rode at a full gallop straight across the ring. He came to an abrupt stop right in front of his parents. "Wonderfully," they exclaimed. "You have learned so much." At supper, Sir Degrees said, "Radius is the best squire I have ever taught. He is ready to go on a quest." "He is not old enough," said Sir Cumference, looking worried. Lady Di smiled. "You were the same age, dear, when you went on your first quest." Radius sat up straighter. "I'm ready, Father," he said. "Please let me go." Sir Cumference slowly looked at each of them. Finally he smiled and nodded. "Hooray!" shouted Radius. "I will make you proud. But how shall I find someone in need of help? Our neighbor King Lel has disappeared." Sir Degrees answered, "Many have set out to find him, but none has ever returned." "I will search until I succeed," promised Radius. The next morning, Radius made ready to go. "Remember your knightly right angle," Radius counseled Sir Degrees. "It will serve you well." Sir Cumference and Lady Di gave Radius an old family heirloom, a medallion, in the shape of a perfect circle. "What are these numbers around the edge of the medallion?" Radius asked. "No one knows," Lady Di answered. "But may it bring you courage on your journey." Radius bid them farewell and set off. "I'm on a quest," he exclaimed gleefully. Radius rode for many days through the countryside. One day he came upon a tiny village where all the cottages had rooftops pointed in steep angles. "What a quaint little town," thought Radius. "Mother would call it cute." He asked a villager about King Lel. "His castle lies beyond the mountains of Obtuse," said the villager, pointing to the east. "But take heed. There are tales of strange creatures and dangerous things. No one traveling there has ever returned." "I hope to be the first," says Radius. "Farewell, and thank you." Up and down through the mountains of Obtuse, Radius rode eastward. Finally, Radius came upon a walled castle surrounded by a watery moat. He rode cautiously onto the drawbridge. It creaked and groaned with every step. As he neared the middle, the drawbridge began to crumble. Quickly, Radius urged his horse to cross. Just as they reached the other side, the old drawbridge collapsed into the water with a tremendous splash. "Whew, that was close," Radius exclaimed. He rode through the high gates of the castle. In the courtyard, Radius saw a parchment hanging on a door. He took the parchment and read the faded writing. "Warning, stranger, friend, or foe, dangers wait as forth you go. You must make a knightly right, finding next big, straight, and slight. One wrong turn means loss to all, and a withering, screaming fall. Find the right to reach the king, or you will feel the dragon's sting. The brothers zig and zag. What can this mean? Thought Radius, clutching his medallion for courage. He rode through the doorway into a circular chamber in the middle of the stone floor. Radius could see a carved circle with a line across its center. All around him, arches led to different rooms. Which way should I go? He wondered out loud. He read from the parchment, "You must make a nightly rite. Sir degrees and I practice many right angle turns." Just then something flapped out of the shadows and bumped his arm. "Oof!" grunted Radius as the medallion went flying. Then the medallion rolled away and came to a stop on a carved stone circle. Radius noticed that the number 90 pointed directly toward one of the arches. Starting at 0 on the medallion, if I go to the center and then to the number 90, that forms a right angle. "That's the nightly rite," he cried. Radius swung himself back onto his horse and rode through the arch with a nightly rite, or 90, on the medallion. The way was dark and damp around him. Unseen things shuddered in corners. By the light of a flickering candle, Radius read the parchment again, finding next big, straight, and slight. What is big? He wondered. Could it be something even larger than the nightly right angle? He thought for a moment. The mountains of Obtuse were shaped like big angles. He remembered as Radius looked around for a way out. Spider webs caught his hair and tickling legs brushed across his face. Ahead, Radius saw several hallways. Each had a circle carved in front of him. If I hold the medallion over a circle, then the number measures the angle to the hallway, he said. The angle of the first hallway measured only 55 in the medallion. As Radius measured the angle of each hallway, he found only one that was bigger than a right angle. One angle measured 120 on the medallion. Radius entered that hallway, but it ended at a curving stairway. Radius dismounted and told his horse to wait. "Stairs are no place for you," he said. "Stay right here and I'll come back as soon as I can." The stairway down was narrow and steep. "I must be under the castle by now," Radius thought. He noticed that the farther down he went, the hotter it was. The stairs came to an end at a fiery pit where huge flames leaped up like angry, snapping jaws. 2 bridges spanned the inferno. They both started from the same spot, but they crossed the fire pit at different angles. After big, the parchment reads straight. Radius remembered, that's 180 on the medallion. You can't get an angle straighter than that. He took a deep breath and ran across the bridge that went straight over the roaring fire. On the other side, Radius heaved a sigh of relief. He opened a heavy door and entered a dark tunnel. The door clanged shut behind him. Raspy shuffling came from deep in the darkness. 4 glowing eyes appeared and began moving slowly toward him. Clutching his medallion, Radius hurried down the tunnel. As he passed the eyes, he brushed against scales that felt like cold chainmail. Radius ran blindly on the stumbling as the floor started to slope upward behind him. Heavy thumps echoed into the darkness. The tunnel ended. Other tunnels shot off at different angles. In front of each was a carved circle glowing with its own light. The parchment says, "A slight angle." Radius mumbled, "Like rooftops at the cute little village I passed through. A cute little angle is what I need. Something less than 90 on the medallion." The smallest angle measured 40, so he turned there. The thumps grew louder. Something snuffled and sniffed as it was hunting him. Radius ran through the darkness. Next will be the right to reach the king. Another nightly right angle of 90. At least the last angle will be easy, he gasped. He was wrong. In the dim light, he came across 4 corridors, which all seemed to be right angles. Fingers fumbling, he measured quickly with the medallion 90, 90, 90, and 90 again. Slow down, Radius told himself, and measure once more. He carefully lined up the medallion and read the numbers. The first angle was 93. Too big, he said. The next angle was 85. Too small, he muttered. The third was 89. Almost right, he said. Then there was a great whooshing sound, and thick smoke filled the tunnel. Radius was caught inside a dark cloud. Coughing and sputtering, he felt his way along to the remaining corridor. I hope this is the one, he whispered. Thump, thump, thump. Something was lurching toward him. He stumbled. Suddenly, Radius ran into a wall of stone. He was trapped. The thumping grew louder. Whatever it was big, and it was right behind him. Radius turned around and stood with his back to the wall, his arm to bump into a latch, a handle. He pushed with all his strength, and the door swung open. Brilliant sunshine met his eyes. Welcome, a voice bellowed. Who might you be? Radius squinted into the brightness. I am Radius, son of Sir Cumference and Lady Diameter, and squire to Sir Degrees. I am searching for King Lil. It seems you found him, chuckled the king. But how did you do it? Radius bowed. My medallion helped me figure out which paths to take. Knowledge gave me the courage to keep going, he explained, but there was a frightful things in there. A whimpering came from behind the door. King Lil opened it wider. Radius jumped back. Dragons! He gulped. A pair of them. They're my loyal pets, the little dragons, explained the king. He scratched their heads. The poor beast and I were trapped in this maze by my evil cousins, Zig and Zag. But we are free now, that you may have found the way through. Young squire, he continued, anyone brave enough and smart enough to figure out this maze deserves his knighthood. With Radius's medallion, they easily found their way through the maze. To celebrate King Lil's freedom, invitations were sent to all the neighboring knights and ladies. Sir Cumference, Lady Diameter, and even old Sir Degrees came. Radius and King Lil went to the moat to greet each group of guests. When King Lil whistled and called out, "Pair of Lils," 2 dragons stretched across the moat. Side by side, they became a living drawbridge for the guests to cross. Everyone asked Radius how he found his way through the maze. I discovered the secret of the medallion, Radius said. The numbers divide a circle into 360 parts. I can use those parts to measure any angle. I call the parts of a circle degrees, in honor of my teacher, Sir Degrees. Radius drew a picture of his medallion and took an arrow from his... Let's say this arrow points to a hallway. The number shows how many degrees are in the angle. A right angle measures 90 degrees. A straight line measures 180 degrees. I call angles bigger than 90 degrees obtuse. After the mountains of obtuse, angles smaller than 90 degrees I call acute. That looks like the roofs in a small village I traveled through. King Lil told Radius to kneel. For your bravery and intelligence, I knight you, Sir Radius, the king proclaimed. From this day forth, let the kingdom be called Angleland. Banners will fly on every castle tower. They shall show nightly right angles of 90 degrees, small acute angles, and large obtuse, and straight angles of 180 degrees. Rise now, great king of Angleland. The crowd cheered and Radius rose to greet them. Angleland was the only kingdom to have a castle with a living drawbridge. The cry "Parallels" brought the two dragons over the moat. They became so famous that today parallel means any straight lines, side by side, the same distance apart, like the little dragons. Angleland is still there on very old maps, but today we call it England. I hope you guys enjoy it.